If there's one car manufacturer that does not lack imagination, it is Hyundai, especially with that Ioniq 5. And this is their latest in their car model lineup, the new Hyundai Santa Fe. And this is basically all new. And I'll explain what that means, but just look at this. In this review, we're going to review the all-new Hyundai Santa Fe. I reviewed the previous Santa Fe and I also reviewed the Ioniq 5, and this new Santa Fe goes completely against the previous design language that the Santa Fe had. It goes much closer to the Ioniq 5, the boxy shape, the retro-futuristic design, because just look at it. It has this extremely boxy, very boxy shape and design language with this H pattern front lights, these very vertical air inserts or air intakes, and this square design around here with the plastic and the body color. I mean, it's a unique design for sure. You can see that this is a bigger car, and to power this bigger car, what do you put in this? Well, this is the hybrid power plant, meaning a 1.6 liter 4-banger petrol engine coupled with a battery and an electric engine, of course. The total power output is 250 horsepower, nothing groundbreaking or super exhilarating, but it does the job fine enough. We'll talk about the driving characteristics later on, of course, as well, but it's not the most fun engine. Let's be honest. There's much more space to fit something a little bit more exciting here. And of course, we need to talk about the battery. This is 13.8 kilowatt hour with a maximum charging speed of 11 kilowatt, giving a max range of just about 58 kilometers. Nothing groundbreaking, much less the some of the competitors, but this is in an interesting price category compared to the size, and we'll talk about that just later on. And in the back, the boxiness continues, and you also see this H-shaped pattern on the rear lights. But where is the reversing light? Well, it's actually down here. Only one on the right side here, and if you have a big truck or a large SUV in a parking lot, it will probably be pretty difficult to see this one. So I would much rather have them move it up here on the inside to make it more visible when you are reversing in this Santa Fe. But we need to, of course, talk about the rear storage space, and it is up here. There's a little button and the whole flap moves up, so you have to be cautious when you are opening the rear tailgate, and you're met with over 600 liters of storage space, 4 cup holders, the 2 rear seats, which makes this into a 7-seater, and all the other necessities that you need to be able to use this car. Now we have come to a part of the review which is very necessary but quite undignifying, and that is me getting into the third row of seats. There is a button here and on the left side as well to move the whole seat forward. A nice feature. There's also a lever on the side here to fold the whole seat flat. But it's just time for me to get into the rear seat. So and then just push the button, move the whole seat back. Something like that. And while super large people will not be able to fit in the middle seat, I am fitting more than comfortably. I have a lot of headspace. I even have a armrest, cup holders, AC controls, USB-C plug, a window even. There's a nice place to be here in the back. What a home run. Relatively speaking, this interior has went up so many levels, and I'm not saying that just because they have done it. The amount of buttons at good located places, quality, the materials, the tech, the feeling of quality, and the size here inside, the ergonomics. However, there are some negatives. One of them is the button for opening the compartment here. Not that deep. There are 2 cup holders here, 2 wireless charging places, and underneath here you have some more storage space, which is a little bit difficult to reach from the driver's side. You do have climate controls, and these are touch. They work for the majority of the time, and they are the same every time. They do not change, so you'll reach them very easily. Down here you have controls for different drive modes. You have terrain, snow, mud, sand, and you have drive, eco, sport, and mind drive. So you can customize this a little bit. You also have controls to go into the 360-degree cameras, and if you turn the wheel, you will see that the wheel on this car, 3D car, is also turning. Quite cool feature, but it is only active up to 10 kilometers an hour. We need to talk about tech, and we have a digital gauge cluster and an infotainment screen and a screen for the climate controls. The digital gauge cluster and infotainment system generally is the same as in the Kia because they are cross-pollinated a little bit. But you have buttons for the steering wheel, which I really like, and it makes it easy to shuffle through some of the information that you have here in the middle. Not that much, it's quite basic, but it gives you all the necessary information that you need. On the infotainment system, you have a lot of information to go through, but the things that you have used the latest are found in the home button here. So if you're here, for example, you press home, you'll go back. Very clever system that. And then if you want to press into media, you have a button for that as well. Everything is quite quick, responsive, looks sharp, but if you want to cancel some of the beeps that you will inevitably have when you drive the car, you have to go into settings, and then you might have to go into sound, and then into driver assistance, and then you have to cut stuff off, or you have to cancel stuff. So that was 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 buttons or presses, quite deep into the infotainment system. But other than that, quick, responsive, looks nice, on the level that it should be for the price. And we are driving the new Hyundai Santa Fe, and you might hear some beeps. So you have some quick menus, so either you hold on the mute button to turn off the warning for the speed limit. And there are a lot of beeps in this car for the camera that is looking at your eyes, so you're paying attention to road, lane assist. Now driving on the highway at about 90 kilometers an hour, hearing the petrol engine working a little bit. Yeah, I'll talk about that power plant a little bit later on. But wow, the softness of the suspension, the very light steering wheel. Hyundai has tuned this to feel, more relaxed, not as stiff. We also have the paddles behind the steering wheel, so it changes the regeneration level. There's 1, 2, 3 and max, and the max really slows you down. The seats, the ergonomic, the materials, the quietness, the steering, the heaviness of it, the suspension, how softly sprung it is. They have definitely made this into a more relaxed driving experience. It feels more grand scale. It feels more bigger in its behavior, more soft, more subtle. Maybe not as poised, but it doesn't have to be that either. Driving at the highway, the fuel consumption 5.6 liter per 100 kilometer, I feel is more than decent, but the all-electric range of 58 kilometers I think is much less than the majority of the competitors. Then again, this is a bigger car, and the price category that this comes in compared to the size is quite special, I think. This is much bigger than the Volvo XC60. It has a smaller battery. So you have to value or weigh what you value the most. This has 7 seats. It's a relatively big car, and you can also have quite a big boot. It feels like a very luxurious package. But if you want that all-electric long range, well, maybe this is not the car for you in the price category. Also, don't forget that this car is available with a hybrid alternative as well, but no diesel, at least here in Sweden and in the majority of Europe. There's one thing that I was worried about, it was that hybrid powertrain. Yes, it does have 250 horsepower combined output, but the size of the battery makes it fairly heavy, also because of the size of this Santa Fe. And as long as the battery is fairly charged, it gives you the power that you need when you need it to. There's nothing to really complain about. But if the battery is depleted, when you need to pass someone on a highway, for example, that's when you feel that the petrol engine is a little bit too lethargic. But it is at very specific scenarios that you feel that, yeah, I would like a little bit more for 95% of the time, for 99% of the time, as long as you're driving this for its intended use case, which is every day to and from work, pick up the kids from soccer practice, especially since you have 7 seats in this, you'll have no issues. How do I conclude or summarize this new facelifted Santa Fe? Well, it is kind of a facelift, a big one. The exterior, the interior, all of these changes and updates have brought this into another level, but the base platform is more or less the same with almost unchanged. So if you want something that is Hyundai and brings a different flavor compared to the previous Santa Fe or the smaller Hyundai products, this new Santa Fe will fit you very well.